Hello there, everybody, and welcome to Revice City, where we bring you random game reviews. And today we want to talk about Nekketsu Kunio-Kun. It's a series of beat-em-up video games developed by Technos Japan. The first game in the series was released for arcades in 1986 and then was ported to the Famicom a year later. This game was created by Yoshihisa Kishimoto. After the game's success, Kishimoto was asked to create a sequel that focuses on multiplayer mode. This sequel became Double Dragon. Kishimoto would then be busy working on more sequels to the Double Dragon series, leaving two studios working on new Kunio-Kun games, a studio at Technos, while another studio in Niigata was working on mostly Kunio-Kun sports games. In this video, I'll be talking about the Kunio-Kun Nekketsu Complete Famicom-Hen. This was released in 2016 by Arc System for the Nintendo 3DS. It included 11 of the Kunio-Kun games between beat-em-ups and sports games all in one. Please subscribe for future videos like this. This will help out a lot. And don't forget to like or dislike the video. We're gonna start with Nekketsu Kunio-Kun, which was localized in the West as Renegade, an arcade beat-em-up that received many ports for other systems. The game pioneered gameplay elements which would become the foundation of the scroll and beat-em-up genre. The notability is that the sprite and stage changes are heavily influenced by the 1979 film The Warriors. No lawsuit was ever made against the game for such similarities though. Now, this is a beat-em-up game using 2D sprites that can move in 3 dimensions. It uses a system of a fixed location where the player has to fend off waves of opponents until the numbers dwindle, and the stage boss appears in the end to intervene. It uses various combat techniques that were progressive for the beat-em-up genre at the time. These included reverse attacks, grab attacks, and the ability to mount and attack downed enemies. It could be argued that even much later games in the style, such as Final Fight, were influenced by this game. The second game is Nekketsu Kuku Dodgeball, and it's an action sports game that pits 2 teams of 6 players against one another on a variety of different courts and environments. This game has 3 modes: Super Dodgeball mode, Versus mode, and Beanball mode, and it is super fun. In Super Dodgeball mode, one player takes on 7 countries and their respective dodgeball teams on their way to dodgeball supremacy. Each team has their own strengths and weaknesses, as well as their own home court. The countries included in the single player and versus mode are England, Iceland, Africa obviously was considered a country back in the 80s, Japan, China, India, Russia, and the USA. The versus mode was simple 2-player super dodgeball mode, which I am assuming that back in the day it was plenty of fun playing with friends. In beanball mode, players are taken back to their days on the playground. This is less structured and allows players to run around all over the place. Play continues until there is only one player left standing. The third game in Tecno's Kunio-Kun series is Downtown Nekketsu Monogatari, a scrolling brawler with RPG attributes that was released in April 1989. This game was basically an early proto GTA, where the player can explore the city, beat up or steal from random people, and shop around. Localized in the West under the name River City Ransom, the game was a departure from previous brawlers with its introduction of RPG elements. In Ransom, the player takes control of Kunio and Ricky, who must cross River City to reach a gang leader barricaded inside River City High. Gameplay is in the style of classic side-scrolling brawlers, namely Double Dragon and Tecno's own Renegade, released the year before. However, unique to this game is the ability to collect money from defeated enemies and spend it at shops to regain health or boost RPG-style stats. The player learns new moves and increases their fighting powers. The game's quirky style of comedy also set it apart from similar titles, and it could almost be considered a parody of them. Number 4, we have Nekketsu Kuku Dodgeball World Cup Hen. Bicycle kick, power shots, murderous shoulder slams, unconscious defenders, and soccer on ice. This is the game in a nutshell, and this is what happens when Kunio-Kun and crew take to the soccer pitch. This game is 6-on-6 between many different countries, including East Germany and West Germany. Terrain types include grass, sand, ice, and dirt. When it comes to slide tackles, there are no fouls in this game. It is encouraged to take out players by slide tackles, and this is how the game is played. Also, if a player is tackled enough times, the player will get injured and will no longer be able to play. Instead, the player would remain unconscious on the field until a goal was scored, which is hilarious. Players are given 5 super shots per half and can be used by performing a header or a bicycle kick. Each country has its own unique super shot, which can be used to confound the opposing player's defense. Number 5 is this game that you see on the screen. It is commonly named Nekketsu Sports Challenge or Great Athletic Meet. This game is the direct sequel to Downtown Nekketsu Monogatari and is arguably the most popular game in the Kunio-Kun series in Japan. Also can be seen by its multiple sequels and remakes along with the Battle Royale mode. The previous game introduced many high schools and characters from those high schools, and this game further expands on some of the established schools by adding new characters to Nekketsu High. Number 6 is a downtown special, Kunio-Kun no Jidiageke. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. And this is a sort of a sequel to River City Ransom. You travel the lands with the help of an AI partner. You take control of Kunio's ancestor, Kunimasa, as you're set on an adventure to find medicine for your master. On your way, you'll encounter plenty of enemies from rival gangs to punch, kick, and generally abuse. Just like in River City Ransom, you can buy special techniques and items from stores. However, as you kick enemies, your stats will grow simultaneously, and you can choose which stats you want to be grown faster. So it is pretty unique in its own way. The other major difference to River City is that the game allows you to freely explore it in a non-linear fashion. Number 7 here is an ice hockey game that was only released in Japan. There was a plan for a US version to be developed, but then it was cancelled for some reason. The game plays much like Tecno's other sports titles on the NES, such as Nintendo World Cup. The scores will be much higher than in typical real-life match, and players get the puck away from the other team, most commonly by simply hitting them with their stick. Players can pass, shoot, and control their own goalkeeper with the directional pad at all times. As in the case in other Technos games, players can get fatigued and will show frustration when on the ice. Eight here is Bikori Nekketsu Shin Kiroku. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, which is Crash and the Boys Street Challenge. Crash and the Boys Street Challenge is a 1992 gang-themed Olympic sports game for the NES. Yes, this is a sports game. Also developed and published by Technos. The game features 5 different teams of 5 players competing in 5 different sporting events. And the 9th game is technically a 4-player fighting tournament featuring the Kunio-Kun characters. It's called Nekketsu Kokuru Densetsu. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. So in some ways, it is a predecessor to later 4-player fighting games like the Outfoxies and Super Smash Bros. The 10th game is Kunio-Kun Nekketsu Soccer League. It's another soccer game with dynamic weather elements and special moves. In this game, you take charge of one player of your choosing to captain a team of 6 to be chosen out of 12 available. You can command your teammates to pass or shoot if your team has the ball, or to defend when your team loses the ball. Each player has a unique strike or shot that varies in power and effectiveness. The game tries to influence some strategy by allowing players to choose style of offense and defense. Players and their position is subject to change since all players can play in every position including the goalkeeper. So you can tell this is a crazy game. The last game in the series is Nekketsu Street Basket. Kunio-Kun and Co. take on the world in this 2-on-2 basketball tournament. It spices things up by adding 3 hoops and some violence in the mix. Nekketsu Street Ball. This was released in 1993. It is the last of 11 games in the series released on the Famicom. The story is that Kunio won a trip to the US on a quiz show. Ricky sneaks onto the flight with the intention of entering a street basketball tournament, bringing the reluctant Godai, who is Tex from River City Ransom. In America, they are joined by Johnny from Oklahoma High, Team Thornley in Crash and the Boys Street Challenge, and that is the backstory. It is so creative and it is so fun, and the gameplay is amazing. It is fun to play with others as a multiplayer, and it is very unique up until this day. I haven't seen a game like this one. In fact, I haven't seen many games when it comes to this Kunio-Kun sports games, like the Kunio-Kun sports games. But when it comes to the beat 'em ups, Kunio-Kun is considered the master of the beat 'em up genre. When you play and beat the beat 'em up games, you will find a lot of references of many games that we know and love today that are as big as GTA, as Final Fight, Super Smash Bros. And you will always think about, oh, okay, that was done in Kunio-Kun, or Kunio-Kun was the original base for this massive franchise or this massive AAA game. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe if you can, that will help out a lot. Like or dislike, leave a comment below. Let me know if I missed anything or if I mispronounced anything, because I'm sure I mispronounced the whole video. And until next time, take care.